Hello and welcome back to Brit Reviews at All. Today I'm going to be talking about P Valley. They skipped the week last week, but I definitely caught the episode. I looked at it late last night after midnight. Um, so it's P Valley season 2, episode 7 that came up yet last night. So with P Valley, they started off with a flashback to Grandma Ernestine um, at what is now Pank. But as we know, viewers from season 1, that it actually has been in the family for years. Um, and it was a club back then, just a regular club. And she was the singer, the act that basically sang for years. As we saw, it was different decades. And she was beautiful. Her makeup, they did wonderful on her, really, really beautiful. But she was having a moment, as we know, she was diagnosed as having COVID, and she was going through the motions with that. So what we saw was her daughter, who's no longer living. She saw her daughter in her present self saying, "Mama, come on, come home, come with me and have a drink with me, and we're gonna be good. It's time." Grandma Ernestine said, "No, ma'am, I'm not ready. No, it's not time." So she came back to reality. She said she ain't ready to go. Now, we have Uncle Clifford. He's in the club. He's standing there, just kind of looking around and basically just thinking about the history that he has there, that his family has there, which Haley, she, doesn't, like, she says she understands, but I don't think she get it. So she comes in, they have a meeting, 6 feet. Um, so she pretty much, and this is why I say it's so hard to like Haley. Like, you want to like her, but then she does things that's like, girl, like, oh, you make it hard to like who your character is, and you are such a mystery. Like, we really are trying to still learn you and understand you and what you're doing and the choices that you make, even in season 2, still. But anyway, her and Clifford, they're meeting up to discuss, what was going on with the paint. And he's basically like, at this point, I'm I'm at my wit's end at this point. I'm about ready. The last resort would be to take her out, but he's like, it ain't even worth it. In basically, she let him know that they are offering 5 million, I believe, for the paint, but she basically told him like, and even his eyebrow raised like, "Girl, hold on, do you know how much money that is?" But now I'm like, sir, you look like you kind of riding that fence, like right in between there. But she's like, "No, I want 10, and I'm gonna get you that, and you're gonna be able to do, what you want to do." And then he's basically keeps having to tell her like, "Girl, it's not even just that. Like, do you understand the history that's here? I was raised here. My uncle was here. My grandfather was there. Like, going over all the things that happened to her. He's like, my grandmother, she sang right here on this stage." Um, she's trying to make it seem like she cared, but hey, we know you don't. Like, it's a bigger thing. Now we kind of get a little bit of truth out of her, but with her character, like, I still couldn't really get, really try to understand where she was coming from, honestly, because we know that she's sneaky and conniving, right? She basically says like, "Dude, I took the money that I went through all of this and I lost my child in the process, and I put it into this business because I'm going to make something of my life, um, to make it worth something, even though it doesn't bring her daughter back. She feels obligated to do something more. What that is, I don't know. We don't know. We're gonna figure that out hopefully at some point, please. Um, and basically just saying like, no, like, I want what I invested in, then some. Like, I'm not just doing this just because, like, it is a reason, which of course she never said that in the beginning. So Uncle Clifford didn't realize it. Um, and basically, he said what he said to Haley that stung a bit. It was like, ooh, oh, Uncle Clifford, you ain't have to say that. about that. You know, she's like, well, yo, he basically said, well, your baby is no longer here. And that was just like, cringe, cringe, cringe. But it's a lot of hurt, a lot of anger there. Um, he said what he said, can't take that back, and I'm gonna move on. Now, we have Mercedes. She apparently has been keeping Terica at her house. They said it was 2 days, but Mercedes like, no, day 3. I don't think Rochelle, clearly she doesn't know that Terica is pregnant. Um, but for her to still talk to Mercedes the way she does, and Mercedes is basically really just trying to help. She's like, Mercedes, well, she's like, Rochelle, just let her stay here. Figure out your stuff, like get your stuff together, and let Terica stay here. Like I got her. Rochelle, chill with all the demands. Like you don't, like you have the power as far as having guidance. I guess they adopted Terica, like you have her, like that's your daughter by law, on paper, but cool it because you like to pull those strings with Mercedes. Like it's getting old at this point. But anyway, they kind of were jumping back and forth between the scenes, so I'm gonna try to keep to it as much as I can without jumbling it all up together. But I'm gonna try. Now we have Murda. He's still in Uncle Clifford's house. You know he's still going through it from losing Big T. Um, that cannot be something easy to process. It's not something that just happens overnight. It's gonna take him some time to work through it, right? Now he is there. Ernestine is upstairs, so clearly Clifford must have had to have left some instructions for him to, check up on her and to help her out. So he goes in to check on her. She is very clammy, he said. He does put his mask on. He goes in there. Honestly, with all that coughing and stuff that she was doing in that room, she should have had a mask on too. Because I'm like, that whole room, you probably should have sprayed it in there before you even went in there and said, ma'am, put you a mask on while I'm in here with you. Just saying. But anywho, that's what you would have happened in real life. Side note. Okay, but anyway, he brings her some food, cooks her up some food, and realizing that her nose is her sense of smell, she did not lose that for sure. Um, and she just kind of makes a little joke about Clifford's chicken and dressing, but it's like, so it's like, are you trying to say that Clifford can't cook? I don't know, but Murda, he could throw down in the kitchen apparently. And Ernestine, she enjoyed her meal, and it was very beautiful and very nice of him to take care of her like he really cares, showing a more vulnerable side to him, which he's always done that really, in the beginning, very rough, very tough, but his character is breaking down and you're getting more of a sensitive side of him, right? Now, Ernestine, she does tell him, like, my smell, yeah, nah, that ain't gone. She said, but you want me to tell you what else I smell? She said, I smell death. I thought she was talking about herself, and she could be. It could be a double meaning to that. But she was basically saying the night that you came in, I smelled it. So her, the blood, the smell of the blood. She said, I smelled death on you. And it just kind of stings him a little bit and takes him back to that night. But like I said, it's gonna be a process, man. Like you ain't just gonna get past it in one day, in 1 week. It could take some time, especially with no other, form outlet. But we'll see what happens with Murda. Next, we have Haley. She shows up in the grocery store while KeShawn and Derek and the kids are there grocery shopping. I find it very interesting how I feel like Haley had been looking around for KeShawn, because you didn't look like you were there to shop for groceries, Haley. You look like you was tracking her, trying to find out where KeShawn is. I am really curious to know, and I'll get to that point a little later. Why is she seeking out KeShawn? What is the true purpose behind it? Does she see some similarities between the two? Is she genuinely trying to help her, or she need her for something? And that's where it comes back to Haley and her conniving ways, and she makes herself come off as one way, but she has a different agenda. But I'm just wondering. But we're gonna see what happens. Now they go back to Mercedes. She's tells Terica that she's about to take her to go get some I guess some ice cream or some kind of dessert. And then Mercedes, well, Terica, she realizes as they're passing up, where she was supposed to be going, she realizes that Mercedes is taking her somewhere else, which was Mercedes was taking her to the clinic to get an evaluation because at this point, Terica, you're however old, I don't know, 14 years old. Um, and you still standing there talking about you don't know what you want to do, you don't know what you want to do, you don't know how far along you are, your head is in the clouds. I mean, y'all think y'all got it figured out, but you don't really truly understand what becoming a mother, bringing a life into this world, what that all entails. It's not all sun, flowers, and daisies all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you're so young, you're already stopping yourself and making yourself grow up quicker than what Mercedes would like for you to. Especially because she understands it because she went through the same thing, right? Um, so I don't know. Mercedes, she was very stern with her. Like she is not playing. Like she's like, you going to this clinic. I really thought that Terica was about to try to run away, but eventually they were able to try to work through it. This whole little trip clearly was necessary for the two of them to figure out their relationship and where it's gonna go from here. Um, I ain't gonna lie. I was kind of like, oh, okay, well, Terica, now you want to run your tail over to Mercedes because you done messed around and got yourself pregnant, and you ain't trying to go home so Rochelle see that you pregnant, but you want to be over here with Mercedes. Um, I'm gonna come back to that. Okay, so we're gonna move on because again they were flashing back and forth. Murda, he hasn't been on his phone. Everybody been messaging him, calling him, and whatnot. And his song is blowing up. He's getting more recognition. He's getting out there on the radio, but he's going through some mental things right now. It's sad to hear. Sad to hear. Wody finally talks to Murda, and apparently he actually helped him with Big T. Um, but he tells Murda like nobody came for him. So what you want to do? Um, it was very interesting to find out that Murda had never been into Uncle Clifford's room before. So when he was seeing everything, he started to question like, like how you've been like this like forever, like since you were yay high. Um, you know, how did you know? Like how did you grow up like that? And Murda's coming from his perspective where he clearly wasn't raised to be the same way. He was raised to be a different type of way to hide who he is in, because of where he grew up and the way he grew up. But basically, Murder's gonna have to make a decision. Like, what do you want to do? If you're gonna be with Clifford, you cannot be in the closet. Basically, that's what Uncle Clifford is saying. But with Murda, with his career choice to be this rapper, if he comes out and shows who he truly is he going to receive that same support, especially in the South? I highly doubt it. And it could ruin his career before it gets started. And it's unfortunate, but that's the truth. That's the truth. Um, so he has some real decisions to make to figure out like what he gonna do. You either gonna be with Cliff or you gonna have to let it go and leave him alone and let him go and move on and do what you want to do. Um, Now, they heard some noise and they found out that Ernestine, she done left the whole house, okay? I mean, first of all, from the time that they was up there, how did she run off that quick? Because she can't run, she's not running. We know that. She had to be walking. And if that was the case, she walked really fast. There's no way that by the time they heard that door and they came downstairs and realized that she wasn't there, she was already gone. And I'm going to get to that part because again, they kept flashing back and forth. Now, Terica, she thought she has Mercedes to pull over to let her go into the restaurant to go and use the bathroom. In while that's happening, Mercedes, she has a flashback because she realizes where they are at. She has a flashback of her and her mom. Um, and I'm just like, okay, the mama, we know you have a history, honey. You wasn't always all holier than thou. But you was basically sitting there wanting to have Mercedes to flirt with a man to pay for y'all food. But as she's opening her wallet and you see she's getting cash saying, nah, mama, we ain't got to do that. I got the cash. I can pay for it. You see a condom in her wallet. and you blow up. Um, and we find out that where she was getting it from was the man who is Terica's father. Um, to find out that she was or to see that she basically blew up, started beating the girl in the restaurant, and ain't nobody say not one word. Like something was very strange about that. I was just like, "Hello, do y'all? None of y'all see this? Like the police officers, ain't nobody gonna do nothing." And that brought back some anger on Mercedes. Like she still has a lot of issues, mommy issues. Basically, she really does with her upbringing. Um, and here comes Terica. They get back in the car, they wheeling off or whatever, and they get to talking. And Terica get the running off at the mouth. Before you know it, Mercedes done popped her in the mouth. Um, I don't encourage, I do not encourage hitting, abuse, child abuse, any abuse. I do not, or fighting. I don't encourage it. However, in that moment, Terica, again, you're running to Mercedes seeking her help. And you gonna have the audacity to stand to sit there in her vehicle and talk to her any kind of way? No, ma'am. If I was Mercedes, I would have turned that car right on around and took her to Rochelle's house and dropped her off and said, "Well, ma'am, since you feel the way you feel, go on in there with Rochelle and let her handle you the way she want to handle you, and we gonna see about as we gonna see." Because that's what I would have did. But she kept it pushing. She caught herself. You know what I'm saying? Just saying. Now, moving on. They go back to Grandma Ernestine. She's done went off in the woods. They start finding her clothes everywhere. And um, they finally catch up with her. Grandma Ernestine was headed to the Mississippi River. Ma'am, what was you finna go do? I think it was. She said that they was calling her, that her daughter was calling her, and that it was her, and then she was finna go into the water. Um, man, that was such a sad little scene right there, because Uncle Clifford, like that, Grandma Ernestine, that's everything to him. We know that, and he's not ready for that. He's not ready to take that. But they got her in time. Murda went, got some water from one of her pieces of clothing and just kind of wet her because she was hot and very clammy and sweaty. And they had to have the ambulance to come and get her because he said that her fingers were turning blue. Basically, she was getting ready to go, because her sickness was getting worse. Um, so they got her gone out to the hospital, and they basically like, you gotta let her go to the hospital. She did not want to go, but she needed to go. She needed some additional help being at home. She already is a diabetic. You just She needed additional assistance, and she needed to be in the hospital. So we're gonna see what happens with Grandma Ernestine. We don't know just yet. So we're gonna see. Now I'll go ahead and finish up with what was going on with them too. Um, I do like that Murda, again, even though he's going through his own thing, he's trying to distract himself and trying to work through his own thing. He has enough, you know, empathy for Uncle Clifford to try to make him smile, try to make him laugh. So he does this whole Cisco thing, dresses up in some of Uncle Clifford's clothes, makes him laugh, and they have a moment, and they have a moment, okay, like for real, for real. And I was like, oh, Murda, whoa, because I'm used to you being the other. You normally you the man, well, not the man, but there's proper terminology for this, and I am not in. I don't know the proper terminology, so I'll basically say that at this particular time, um, Murda was the one on the receiving end. I'll say it like that way. If you watched it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That was, if I can't remember everything from season one, but for me, I think that was the first time that we've seen him in that way, right? Now, so they just had a little moment and they're consoling each other. That's pretty much the same thing. Same thing that Murda did with Big T. He just did the same thing with Clifford. Moving on. Now going back to Terica and Mercedes, she finds out that the girl is 14 weeks, and I'm just like, okay, girl, how long did it take you to realize that you was pregnant, honey? Like at this point, I mean, apparently there's still the option, where they are is still an option at that many weeks for her to abort. And I'll say the word. I mean, it's still an option because That's what they were talking about, exploring her options. What can she do? Um, I don't know, because what I saw on the scene, that baby was fully. It looked like that baby was fully developed on the sonogram. So I assumed that boo, you too far along, honey. And I think in her mind, she done basically made it up like I want a family. Mercedes is basically trying to get her to really think like, girl, really, you need to think about this, and you need to say sooner than later. What do you want? Not what everybody else want. Not what everybody putting in your head, little pipe dreams for your little boyfriend, the baby daddy. What do you want for yourself, or what do you see for yourself in your future? But yeah, but that's gotta be a tough situation to be in. Like Mercedes is basically history repeating itself for her, like coming to a reality for her. What she was trying to avoid Terica going through, that is literally what's happening right now. But she doesn't want to be her mom. Mercedes does not want to be her mom in this situation, so she's having to figure those two things out and work through it. But in the end, we see that they're gonna work together and they're gonna figure it out. So I can't wait to see what's gonna happen with those two. All right, now in to end it off, we have Haley. She pops up to visit KeShawn at her house. Derek did not want to let that girl in that house with his rude self. Oh my God. Um, I said it before. It's the reason that Haley is coming around to try to talk to KeShawn. It's something that she wants from her, and that's my opinion. I don't know if her true intent is to really, really help her, or because she sees some resemblance between her and what's his name, whatever his name is. She don't want her to go through the same thing. She's like, girl, let me help you. I gave you that my gun, and you didn't do nothing with it. But let me step in again, because I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna be your savior in this case right here. She tells her a story, and KeShawn's still standing there like she don't understand what's happening. KeShawn, wake up, girl. You don't want this to be a repeating cycle where Derek is passing these things on to your children. You have to think about your children in this case, because it's not just you. As you see, he is already putting his hands on the son. You think it's gonna stop there? Just saying. I mean, somebody help her. Like, come on, KeShawn. Come on, KeShawn. You can do this, girl. Haley gave her a phone, and she told her to look up Haley, whatever the last name is, and you call me. You call me. And I'm really like, I want to know what is about to happen. Haley, what are you brewing? What are you brewing, girl? They stopped it right there, so we're gonna find out what happens next week. They better not skip another week. We're gonna find out what happens next week. It was a really good episode. Of course, everybody as individuals, they have their own things going on outside of the paint, because it's real life. Um, so let's see. I mean, let me know what y'all thought about this episode. Please like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell button. It'll let you know when I post a video. I mean, seriously, let me know what y'all thought about this episode. And again, thank you for watching, and y'all have a good, wonderful, beautiful day. Bye, y'all.